folks, I'm Bob Schrupp, physical therapist.
Brad Heineck, physical
Rolling.
therapist. I'll roll ya. Go
I'm
get
Bob Schrupp, physical therapist.
Brad Heineck,
Together
physical
we have the most
therapist.
famous physical therapists on the internet.
In our opinion, of
Once
course,
you
Bob.
kind of get offline, it's hard to get back on again. So
Yeah.
today we're going to talk about, Brad, how do you have fake anterior tilt, anterior pelvic tilt, and how to fix anterior tilt in 5 steps. We're going to do both. We can do double duty, can't we?
Right. Is this like fake news, Bob?
Yeah, sure, just like fake news.
No, it's not. Actually, there's a really good difference between the two, and we're going to show you just a little bit.
Right, because a lot of people think they have anterior tilt and they don't.
Right.
So, and if you're trying to fix it, you know, well, actually a lot of things we do today would fix even fake anterior tilt too.
Right. So it's a win-win
It's a
situation.
win-win. If you are new to our channel, please take a second to subscribe to us. We provide videos how to stay healthy, fit, pain-free. We upload every day. Also go over to Facebook if you get a chance, because Brad and I, as children, it's a sad story. We're not liked, kind of a little bit bullied, and so we're trying to turn things around.
There you go.
And that's fake too, by the way. All right, Brad, let's first show what an anterior tilt is.
Right, so
Okay,
we're talking
a real
about-
anterior tilt.
Right. We're talking about the pelvis.
Yeah.
And here we're taking everything off of Bob and showing just the spine and his pelvis here. And the pelvis can rotate this way or this way.
Well, I'm gonna go along with you, Brad. Go ahead and do it again.
So if we go back, well, let's go together.
Forward.
Anterior tilt.
Anterior tilt, posterior tilt. Anterior means forward, so my,
Tuck that in a little bit, Bob. We have our blue.
yeah, we have a blue thing in there to try to emphasize the line.
Right, there you
So-
go. That's a good anterior tilt. Move that arm. There you go. Thank you. And now let's do posterior. So it's, you know, some people may not notice this, but as a therapist, this is something we're looking for all the time. It's like, oh, we've got to.
Right, because a lot of times when I do lifting, I try to do an anterior tilt to kind of keep my back as straight as possible.
Right.
You guys start going down here. And otherwise you want to be kind of in the neutral zone.
Sure.
You don't want to be anterior or posterior, so.
And I think one of the biggest issues as therapists we see is many people do not have awareness of where their pelvis is, whether it's
Right.
anterior or posterior, because you're just not aware of that. It's not like your arm or your legs and stuff.
What I see with a lot of people lifting is they're actually posterior tilted. They're tilted like this and they're lifting like this, and then
Sure.
their back rounds out. So if they tilt it this way, they got a good arch in their back and their back is supported.
Right.
Let me show the fake one, Brad.
Okay.
So right now, my pelvis is level. See that? Does it look level? Does it look
Yeah,
level?
it does.
Okay. If I just lean back like this, my pelvis is still level,
Yep.
but now it looks like I have anterior tilt because I have a round, you know, a arch in my back.
Right.
Normally I have to do this to get an arch in my back. You know, it does tilt forward.
Yeah.
So fake tilt, fake anterior tilt, is sometimes people just lean back in their posture like this.
Right. And so they have a sway back, it's going back, and we don't like this either because look what it does to the neck.
Yeah.
Head forward posture. We got a lot of stress in the lower
I'm
neck.
locking the knees, I'm hanging on my ligaments is what I'm doing. I'm
Right.
hanging on the pelvis, I'm hanging on the hips.
Sure.
So it's not a good thing to do.
Right. And like we said, there's not the things that we do for the exercises and the posture corrections do luckily work for both of them in many cases.
Most of them, yeah.
Yeah.
So let's show you how you may want to first do a pelvic tilt.
Right.
So you kind of know where your pelvis is at.
The
You
best-
lay down.
Yeah. Best thing to do is lay down and do. Bob is going to work a good exercise, and these are good core exercises, by the way. See, he's doing a posterior tilt. Now, if I were to put my hand right here, and this is what I do with patients, I say squeeze my hand with your back. And when you do that, the abdominals contract, the pelvis posterior tilts, and the person is becoming aware of that motion if they're not already aware. And typically, if I work with some elderly people that weren't physically active all their life, they really don't have this awareness, as well as other people too.
So yeah, you're learning how to do a posterior tilt, and eventually you can translate that to standing too.
Right.
I mean, you know, if you learn how to do it here,
And even sitting, learn
Yeah.
to do it.
Right.
And then you can learn to do it standing, where you can kind of keep, again, that pelvis in a neutral area when you're doing things.
Right,
So-
precisely.
All right, next thing is, one of the things that can cause anterior tilt is tight hip flexors.
Right, and so we want to work some exercises and some means to get those more flexible and pliable, because when you sit a lot,
Which almost everybody does, and if you
Right.
think about it, you know, because you're talking about driving time, you're talking about when you're watching TV at night,
Right.
that, your hips are in this position here, so they're not getting stretched at all, and they're gonna tighten up on you, especially if you have your job and you sit all day
Right,
too.
and you know, if you've heard about tight hip flexors, that's where we're talking, the muscles that are responsible for pulling your hips into flexion or your femur up like this. When you sit a long period throughout the day, day after day, month after month, etc., they stay tight, and then they actually, when you stand up, they can help pull that anterior tilt where we have it. So if we stretch those muscles out, we can get that neutral position we're looking for.
Yeah, the thing I see too, Brad, is not only does it, you know, they may get the anterior tilt, they may even get bent forward a little bit.
Sure.
I mean, after a time, they're like this, and they can't even straighten out because the hip flexors are tight.
Right, and that puts stress on the low back as well because they're connected to the low back.
So, one way to stretch them, well, should I do the laying one down first? If you're not that mobile and
You just wanna stretch your hip flexors, one way you can do it is actually just by starting off, if you pull up on this one and you're really tight, this will probably stretch your hip flexor a little bit.
Right.
Now,
And, you know, if I push here gently, I'm not gonna be aggressive, but, you know, that might help Bob, you know, if he happens to be tight. If he does this
and this pulls up, you're really tight.
Right.
Now, if I go like this, it's down flat, and I go like this and it pulls up, that
right,
means it's really tight. The other thing you can do, if you start, you know, again, don't fall off the edge of the bed, but you can go off the edge like this.
there you go,
And the same thing on this, if I pull it up and it pulls up like this, you're tight.
right,
And if you wanna add a little more stretch, you can even pull the knee, the foot back a little bit like this.
right. And that actually gets the rectus femoris, another hip flexor, because there's a number of hip flexors that work together, so that's being more complete.
if you're a little mobile and you can get down on your knees,
Yep,
I throw a pillow down, I did this morning, and I just go ahead and stretch like this. Give a little more stretch if you turn your foot out like this.
I'm gonna just get in front of you quickly, Bob, but I just wanna show the point, Bob's got nice tall posture. If he leans forward with his trunk, then it doesn't give you quite as aggressive as a stretch. And you may have to start that way, but you wanna work up to this vertical posture.
Right, and look how well extended I have the leg, because I do stretch this out a lot, so. I'm in good shape, right, Brad?
Yeah, Bob,
Well, thanks.
and you know, this is, you know, if we had
I'm glad I
someone,
didn't pull that out of you.
he's got pretty flexible hips, so
Yeah.
he's a good demonstration for someone that's flexible that way. I'm a little bit tighter that way, so I didn't wanna do it.
Sure. I appreciate that, Brad. Okay, the other one we can use, we can actually use a foam roller, right?
Right, if we wanna, can you get that,
Sure.
Bob? We're gonna take advantage of,
Which color do you want?
is that blue one,
Here's
yeah.
a smaller one. Yeah, this is the
Yeah,
36 by 4 inch.
Yep. If you got a foam roller, the 4-inch or the 6-inch will work. It depends on your, you know, your body size and what you prefer. If you happen to have a 6-inch one, use that one, don't go out and buy another one for it. And what we're gonna do is actually,
Oh, we got blue on blue on blue here.
oh my goodness. Yeah, we could put the black one in there if that shows up.
Purple.
Purple?
Yeah, Viking purple. Go Vikings.
Okay, so we'll get serious here. I'm gonna roll to one side a little bit to get to my left hip flexor, and I'm gonna let all my weight go on there. It's a deep muscle, so you're gonna have to work it fairly aggressively. This one, a roll that is a little more firm might be advantage to it, but you can still use.
Advantageous, yeah.
Advantage, thank you, Bob.
Yeah,
I
because
got camera
this
shy.
one's probably almost too soft, isn't it, for the
It is.
flexor?
And plus, you're not gonna do it on a
Well, that's
soft
the
bed.
problem, yeah, you're on a soft bed.
Right, and on a carpeted floor is best,
I'll
but,
bet you'd have been fine on a hard floor.
right, we don't have our mat out right now, so we're not gonna get into detail with that, but that's definitely a good option.
And then we're gonna go ahead and, we're gonna work on getting our posture right, especially if you have that posterior lean, or if you are anterior tilted, you can go up against the wall.
Right,
And you can straighten yourself out here. You can go ahead and flatten your back up against the wall.
here, let's, yeah, get the hand out where they can see that, there you go. So what you're gonna do with your hands down, but
Yeah.
there, see how you flatten it, you can do that again, Bob. There, and that little bit of a movement is significant in the low back and the pelvis.
And then I can go ahead and bring my shoulders back and get everything all lined up, and then I can walk away from the wall.
And maintain that
Maintain
posture,
this.
right, there you go. So, the other thing that, you know, we can do is, I'm gonna do that, and I really like doing this because it really feels good on my back. Here, and I'm gonna do this, and then shoulders too.
Right.
And then we're gonna maintain that, we
And
got
the
that.
chin, because a lot of times people can't get the
Yeah.
head back.
And right now my stomach is tight because I'm tightening up to get that posture to where we want it to, get rid of that anterior tilt. If you want to use some bands with that, and you happen to have somewhere to anchor it to the wall like we have here.
Now, if you want to strengthen your core a little bit,
Yep.
while you're keeping in good position,
Yep.
you can go ahead and use some bands.
There you go, and that actually works the core some more while you maintain that posture that you found against the wall. And you'll be amazed after you work this, you're gonna say, oh geez, I was never aware of where my pelvis was before, and once you do it, it becomes part of your life.
Then once you flip around, Brad.
Oh yes, there you go. And then I'm gonna try to, straighten that out again.
So this is a great posture exercise. So now he's got his pelvis in the right position, but he's also working on the upper back and shoulders, and this is gonna help keep that posture correct.
Right.
Which is the one that a lot of people do have difficulty with. They get rounded up in those shoulders and they're internally rotated, and it's all a mess. Brad.
Right, it is.
What are we gonna do?
Just listen to us because we're therapists, we're concerned about your posture, and it's really gonna help. Bob, once again, we can fix just about anything.
Except for a broken heart.
There you go.
But we're working on it.
Yep, we're got homework and stay up till midnight sometimes working on it.
Oh, thanks.